Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news and news this Monday morning, and some very interesting news coming out about Jadon Sancho from the Irish Independent. We'll also be talking about Maddison, Partey, Harry Kane of course as well, and a bit of a big announcement around the Premier League's potential return, which again is causing quite a lot of division. I'm hoping to do a live show at 1 o'clock today with Robbie from AFTV as well, so make sure you're live for that one. But let's get into this. Jadon Sancho unofficially confirmed as a Manchester United signing this summer. Now this contrasts with what we heard from Borussia Dortmund yesterday, that they will not be part of a bargain hunt where clubs go around Europe and pick up talent for a cheaper price because of the financial crisis caused by this pandemic. So what's this story and how does that fit in with something that's officially coming from Borussia Dortmund? Dortmund basically saying they will not be held to ransom. They want the price that they feel is fair. They don't have to sell. So look, Manchester United, if they want to sign Sancho, are going to have to pay around £100 million in a market that has absolutely collapsed by the time the transfer market opens because of what's happening globally. So what's this story about? Well, this is coming from the Irish Independent, and they're saying that they've heard from sources that Jadon Sancho has unofficially confirmed that he will come to Manchester United, that the number 7 shirt will be offered to him, and that even if United don't get Champions League football, he would still be looking to make that move. Is this any progression from last night other than a new headline to regurgitate a story about Jadon Sancho that's getting many of us excited, but ultimately, is there any meat on the bone? And I would say this, I think the situation when you look at Sancho, when you listen, when you talk to people, that Jadon Sancho wants to come to Manchester United. I think this is something that has been spoken about for a very long time. It's not breaking news, it's not new news. Sancho wants to leave Dortmund. This was coming from as early as this season, at the start of this season, where there was a bit of unrest. He's gone to Germany, he's done his development, he now wants to come and play in the Premier League and showcase that talent in his country, in the best league in the world. And he wants to come and do that. And Manchester United fits him perfectly because it's a big club that's not a big club in relation to winning trophies at the moment, that he can massively improve because there is a big space. You look at it, there's not a big space on the right-hand side at Liverpool. There's not one at Manchester City, and he's already been to Man City, so why would he go there? Why would he go Spurs? Why would he go Arsenal? Chelsea, right-hand side. Well, Chelsea actually have got quite a lot of wide talent, whether it's Pulisic, whether it's Ziyech coming in, whether it's Hudson-Odoi. You know, they've got players on the wide positions. Manchester United have got a massive, massive vacancy for a right-sided player, and that is Jadon Sancho's position. It's a massive club, and I'm sure he is intrigued, excited, and open to that move to Manchester United. So when you read headlines that Jadon Sancho unofficially confirmed to Manchester United he wants the move, I'm pretty sure that that's not made up. I'm pretty sure that that is a story that has a lot of weight to it, and I think Jadon Sancho has been very good at making it flirtatiously obvious that he wants to come certainly to the Premier League, and I believe Manchester United. But the issue here is Borussia Dortmund. This is what we were talking last night. You can only go with what Dortmund are officially putting out there. And we've heard this twice now. They will not be held to ransom. They will not allow themselves to be a bargain tour for clubs who've got money in a time where no one's got money to say, yes, we want Sancho and we want this amount of money. But the interesting thing is, how much would Sancho force a move out of a club? And this is something that you need to fairly take away from Sancho, because you could level it at Pogba, you could level it at Grealish, you could level it at any player that was looking to make a move this summer and say, would they be comfortable forcing a move out of a club, because that always gets a move. And it's something that isn't frowned upon really, because it helps you get the player that you want, but in this current world situation could be frowned up quite a lot. We could see a situation here with Sancho, is what I'm trying to say, that we saw with Griezmann 3 years ago, where Griezmann was definitely coming to United. He was definitely going to occupy that number 7 shirt. He was definitely going to be a superstar signing for Manchester United, but it fell through because of Atletico Madrid's transfer ban and a moral pang for Griezmann to say, I'm not going to throw them under the bus. I'm going to stay here for another year, and then he never came to United. That stops United signing Griezmann. That might have been a good or a bad thing. Will this global pandemic stop us signing Jadon Sancho when it looks absolutely nailed on that it would have happened if we hadn't had this? It's going to be very interesting, and my stance may be very different to yours at the moment. If you're saying to me, what's the percentage of Jadon Sancho coming to Manchester United? I'm no more than 50-50 anymore. I've been up to like 80%. I'm no more than 50-50 because I believe he wants to come to the club. I believe he's told the club he wants to come to the club, but that doesn't mean he's coming, because the most important thing is, as we saw with Sporting Lisbon and Bruno Fernandes, yeah, you can agree with the player can say they want to go, but if you don't agree the deal with the club, it doesn't happen. And we did get there with Bruno, but with Dortmund, we're dealing in a totally different world, where if they won't move their value and we can't pay that value, this deal might not happen. And I think that's what's the story about Jadon Sancho is, can we get a deal done with Dortmund when the player clearly wants to come to our club? So unofficial agreements or not, yeah, I think Sancho wants to come, but you've got to get the deal through with Dortmund, and I don't know what you lot think about how likely that is to happen. On the Premier League, let me just bring this in before I talk about some other players. On the Premier League, the latest news, we spoke about it a little bit yesterday, but the latest news coming out of some outlets is that, and we did talk about this over the weekend, is that the Premier League have proposed an idea whereby they would run a sort of mini World Cup tournament style end to the Premier League. So with the 9 games that we've got, in June and July, they would ask football clubs to go into World Cup type squad camps, where they would hold all the games around the Midlands for some reason, and there would be games every single day, and they would all be televised, and all the clubs would be kept in these sort of isolated training camps where they could play this tournament over the period of 4, 5, 6 weeks, get the Premier League done, and then everything, obviously I'll have another mini break before the start of the season. Now, in these difficult times, this is hard for people to get their heads around, because they're seeing all the death and they're seeing all the panic, and they're saying, why are we talking about football? Why are we talking about football? Can I just be honest with you? In the time of crisis, I've never had a crisis like this, but I have worked in, people know my background was in policing. I've worked on riots and all sorts of stuff. People will, in their downtime, talk about happier times, optimistic things. Hope is a great medicine. So there's nothing wrong with people talking about scenarios about how or when football comes back. Nobody's going to confirm it now. Like, we've got to go through this difficult period as a world over the next month to 2 months, however long it's going to take. But to void everything now would just be ridiculous, in my opinion, because we just don't know. We might not be able to play football till Christmas. We might not be able to play football till September. But we might be able to play football in June or July. And until we know that, and I think a month has to pass at least, then this idea to me sounds reasonable. What has to happen for this to happen is that over the next month, we've got to see a control and drop in the curve. We've also got to see that when football teams start training again, it's safe for them to start training again. So I don't think that can happen until, May, June time anyway. And look, 9 games is what every Premier League club's got left to play. Why would it not be possible to do this? So for me, I think it's an idea. It's a hopeful idea, and hope is the thing that we need to grab onto at the moment. And as I've said before, take it away from football. This could be rugby. This could be EastEnders isn't filming at the moment. Coronation Street's not filming it at the moment. They might be saying a similar thing. Everybody's got this problem to encounter, and conversation about it isn't a bad thing. And I think all these people who just say I'll avoid it, I just think you're getting lost in the moment. And I understand that. I totally understand that. But what do you think the world's going to be when this is over? It will go back to normal. So people talking about those things are absolutely fine. I know people who run pubs and all sorts of things, and they're talking about their strategies when they come back, how they're going to get customers back in. Why wouldn't they? What do you want to do? Just sit watching News 24 for 7 days a week? We've got to have a bit of optimism. Do I think that idea will work? Do I think that idea will happen? No, I don't, because I think at the moment you can plan for a lot of things, but we just don't know. But what I would say is I don't think we should void anything. I think all options should be on the table for a month. And if we're nowhere in the end of April, then I think you've got to make a decision about avoiding it. But not for now, not as far as I'm concerned. The interesting thing that this scenario is throwing up for us is all these players that are doing these sort of Instagram chats. And, of course, they're not used to doing these things, some of these players, and they are being quite honest, and they're not in a scenario where their club can control them. You would never get Harry Kane sat down talking about his future at Spurs so openly if we weren't in an isolated stay-at-home pandemic, because Harry Kane has come out with quotes that would be sensational in a normal scenario, because basically what he's saying is, I'm not going to say that I'm not going to leave Spurs. If they don't match my ambitions, then I'll probably won't be here. It doesn't mean I'm not going to stay here, but I'm ambitious and I want to win things. So, you know, I don't imagine Harry Kane sitting down in a press conference for a normal Premier League match saying that, and I don't imagine him doing an interview about that. But because he's there with no agent or anything next to him doing it off his phone, he's got drawn in, and I think it's interesting to get this honesty from players. Does this mean Harry Kane's coming to Manchester United? No, it doesn't. I think it's a funny one. As I said last night, we were talking to Ricky about it when we had Ricky and Saeed last night. Check that out, really good video. But it's basically Harry Kane saying to Spurs, if you don't match my ambition, I'm going to go. It's a little bit like what we had with Rooney 10 years ago, where he said, you know, I want to leave because the club's not matching my ambition. Harry Kane's not saying he wants to leave, but it's probably not the sort of statement that you want as a Spurs fan. Does it mean that United can sign him? I don't think United can sign Harry Kane, because I don't think Harry Kane could have signed for Manchester United if we hadn't had this global crisis, because it'd be too much money, and I think that puts the barrier up now. But would I take Harry Kane at United? I think it'd be a very, very good signing for United. I just see Harry Kane going to somewhere like Real Madrid. I think Spurs and Real Madrid have got a good connection, so I don't know about that one. James Maddison, there's a story yesterday that Manchester United are sort of resigned to the fact that Maddison is going to sign this new contract at Leicester that he's been rumoured to be signing for a while. It's interesting because I live in the Midlands, but everyone's probably seen it as well. There's a little town called Dickens Heath, probably about 10 miles away from where I live. There's a story floating around that Jack Grealish's car was found deserted in that little town, smashed up in the early hours of yesterday. And there's all sorts of rumours going around about why that might have been. The car's been abandoned. Was he out and about at a party? Worse was you can put two and two together there. We don't know what the true story is about that. And a lot of people last night are saying, look, if Grealish has been out partying on what is effectively a national curfew, and he's left his car because he's done something he shouldn't have done, then Manchester United should steer well clear. I'm not going to comment on it because I don't know. There might be a reasonable explanation for this. There might not be. But what I would say is, this is one scenario where I would say transfers, football. You know what? We're all sat at home, a lot of us. There's people out there doing emergency key working jobs coming out of their home, but the vast majority of people are being told to lock down, stay at home, and they're doing it. Why is he above that? That's what pisses me off. Not the fact that he might sign to United and he's been a naughty boy. What are you doing being out, potentially visiting people on a Saturday night when the rest of the world aren't doing it? And it's that arrogant selfishness around the country from people who are doing it that really, really annoys me. That's what annoys me. I couldn't give two hoots about whether he's going to come to United or not, and I don't give two hoots about whether he's a great player. I just think the global message at the moment is not about whether it being a footballer or anything. What are you doing disobeying what we're all meant to be doing to slow this curve down? And especially if you are a professional footballer and you are doing that, you're paid tens of £1,000s a week by us, by the consumer, through our Sky Sports subscriptions, through our shirt buying, through merchandise, whatever you want to call it. That money you are paid and that situation you are in is because of us. You are not playing football because the club is on isolation. So you're sat at home earning thousands and thousands of pounds when some people don't have a job at all. And then you're out partying, potentially elongating this isolation, where you're going to earn thousands of pounds while everyone else is fed up and some people are out of work. It's just wrong. It's immoral. It's selfish. And I'm not saying that this particular player has done it, but if they have, that's disgusting, and I certainly won't forget it going forward, and I don't think a lot of people will. It's nothing to do with coming to United. It's being outed as being a selfish, arrogant person at a time when we're all meant to be doing something different, especially when you're a privileged person like that who is earning a lot of money, and a lot of people are putting their lives at risk or have their livelihoods in danger. It's not on. But we'll have to find out what the truth is, but that's more of a message to anybody who thinks, I'll just pop round and see my mates on Saturday night. No, that's not what we're meant to be bloody doing. I know it's difficult, but we're not meant to be doing that. So what makes it all right for you to do it? It's a piss take. And people are doing it on a Saturday night. They're having little house parties, all slipping through the back. Twats. Simply twats. So yeah, Thomas Partey as well. I don't know what Thomas Partey was doing at the weekend. Probably at home reading a good book. But he is a potential target that a lot of people want to sign for United. Apparently he's close to signing a new contract with Atletico Madrid as well. And I think this might be a running theme. I've always said I don't know what this transfer market's going to hold. I've mentioned the debt at United personally and the dropping profit levels. Will we have any transfer funds? We might not. Will clubs have to sell cheap, or will clubs not sell at all? Will players that were looking for a move decide to stay for another year? Paul Pogba, etc. We don't know, but I think we will see more and more contracts being signed, and we've already hearing Maddison close, Thomas Partey's close to signing a new one as well. Will that be the summer we have ahead, where players just think, I'm just going to write this summer off and stay where I am? We'll have to wait and see. Thanks everyone for watching. Please do smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and to remember we will be live at 8 o'clock tonight, bit of a call in tonight. But also 1 o'clock today, watch out, we should have Robbie from AFTV on. He's got a documentary on tonight, and also he'll be having his say on what he thinks about United, Solskjaer, the season ahead, Arsenal and United, who's on the better path. We'll be live with that at 1 o'clock. Thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you all soon.